Hi, I am Anna Martin and welcome to the Flex podcast. So, today we are talking about what to do when life gets in the way of the stuff that we've laid out. And I'm going to try and whiz through this a little bit faster than I have on previous podcasts because I feel like I waffled on quite a lot. Okay, so sometimes we have these perfect days and these perfect weeks where everything goes to plan, it feels great, life is good, we tick everything off that we want to. And there are other times where maybe it just isn't physically possible to do what we've set out to do. We might be running around after a family member, after the kids, work might be getting a bit wild up in there, might be moving house, filling in a load of paperwork, legal stuff that we really have to give a lot of attention to and take a lot of time to go over. And sometimes it's going to take away from the time we have available to prepare for our health and fitness in the way that we would optimally like to. And in these situations, I think it's really important to take a breath and reflect on how you would advise someone else that you love to show up for themselves in this situation. We do tend to fit into like one of two categories with dealing with this, and one group of people tends to be quite hard on themselves that they didn't manage to get all this stuff done, didn't manage to do it, so they're going to beat themselves up for not doing it, despite the fact that they're so stressed and so busy. There's no way they can fit it in. And then there's another group of people that potentially don't put enough pressure on themselves to do the things they set out to do, despite the fact that the issues that are coming up for them are only moderately stressful or moderately time consuming. And then they're just like, oh, well, I'm so stressed, I just can't possibly do anything. And they kind of write it off too easily. So we tend to fit into these two categories quite more often than not. And yes, sometimes there will be situations and kind of scenarios that come up where we need to give ourselves a kick up the bum because we're being a little bit self-indulgent. Like we're coming home from work, we finish work at 5, we're home by 5:30, but we couldn't possibly cook anything healthy for ourselves or nutritious for ourselves, or find the time to pop to the gym or go to class or do our home workout because we just don't feel like it because we're just tired, we can't do it. But actually we're just moderately tired or a little bit, usual day tired, and actually we're writing ourselves off before giving ourselves the opportunity to look after ourselves better. But for some people, they massively need to cut themselves some more slack. Like if you are, the baby's crying, your house looks like a bomb's hit it, you've cried all day because you're so tired. How is it worth forcing yourself to do a workout that's going to make most of those situations feel worse, make you feel more tired, more stressed, just so you can tick it off and say that you've done it, despite the fact it's probably going to be rubbish anyway because you haven't got the energy to do it. And, you can't focus, can't do this, can't do that. When actually it might be better to pop out for a walk, get all your stuff in order, make yourself feel better, look after yourself with some decent food and try to get some sleep, like all that kind of stuff. So there's different ways that we can show up for ourselves. Sometimes, for some people, we need to look at how we deal with stress. So there is stuff that's very stressful, and lack of sleep is one of them. So I find that very stressful. There are things in life that could be happening that are very stressful, but sometimes lower level triggers of stress can be perceived as higher stress because we are used to feeling stress and to finding things kind of overwhelming. So sometimes we need to look at how we deal with that. And we are much less likely to view something as stressful if we have exercise that day. So when there is time available to us, or we can create time, and it isn't too stressful for us to do that, it is important that we do fit in that exercising because it is going to help us deal with our stress better. Obviously, there are times when that isn't true and life is so overwhelming, we do not have the time. And in those times, we do need to take a little step back and look at things and say, actually, it is better for me today to look after myself in a different way, and actually, it's better for me today. I'm looking after myself by not working out or not trying to force myself to create all the food prep for the week today. It is better. I'm going to show up for myself in a different way today, and that's okay too. So it is a lot about finding balance, and that's the thing with fitness and nutrition. A lot of it is finding balance. All of these things are the reasons why when I'm doing the flex stuff that we use brackets to work out what is feasible realistically on a daily or weekly basis with a small amount of effort. So we can make small amounts of effort to start bettering how we look after ourselves, but it isn't going to be like optimal case scenario. So we have like this base level, and then we have what we would love to do in a perfect day or a perfect week. So we have a from and to. So for example, easily with your step count, where we might bracket between 6,500 and 12,000 steps, for example. 6.5 being the level that we need to get as a base rate in order to look after ourselves properly. 12,000 being on a great day when we've managed to get out, go to class, go to the gym, go for a walk, whatever it is. So we have this nice bracket. So then it's quite a large bracket, but a feasible version at the bottom and then an optimal version at the top. A lot of the journey that we're on with our health and wellness is one of self-awareness. And that comes into these brackets as well that we're setting out for ourselves, because we're saying optimally, yes, I might want to get to this level, but actually it's okay if I get to this base level because that is still me being here and looking after myself, but it's in a way that fits in with my day. We need to get to know ourselves, get to know our mindset and our body. When our body is actually saying, no, I need a rest, when our mind is actually saying, no, I need a break, versus when I just need to look at different ways to potentially cope with the stress. And for some people, that might be going to do a workout because the workout is going to help us to deal with our stress. But in other times, that workout is just more stress upon stress. So we perhaps, it isn't something that we need to push for in that situation. We are we can be very we are people of extremes, so we can have these massive extremes, both in terms of how our lives are and versus how we see ourselves and the things we force ourselves to do. So self-awareness can be really key with this, to know when we need to be a little bit kinder versus when we do need to say, come on, love, get a grip, let's get in the gym. You know, there are those times when we all have it when we're like, oh, I'm just cozy where I am here on the sofa. And yes, sometimes it is just nice to do that. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes we need to be like, this is now turning into every night. And I do want to go to class, or I do want to go to the gym, or I do want to go for a jog. Whatever it is, we have to make ourselves do that. And other times we just need a nap, and that's okay too. So feel like I've been relatively fast on this. So I'm going to stop talking, and I hope I'm wishing you a good day. I'll speak to you again on the next podcast, and I hope today is a day that we find the way that's best for us to show up for ourselves and look after ourselves.